Thank you all for having me back here again. It is always such an honor and a privilege to be here at One World. It's a community, in my experience, that kind of ebbs and flows. I'm never quite sure what the demo will be when I walk into the room, and that's fun for me. I like that. I'm reminded, though, there's a scene from the movie Harvey. I don't know if you remember that movie, Jimmy Stewart film. It's an amazing scene that I've watched over and over and over again, where he's talking about he and Harvey will go out. Harvey's his 6 foot or 7 foot rabbit that he's friends with, in case you haven't seen it. And he says, when we go out to these bars, we'll talk to people, and people will tell us their big problems, and they'll tell us their big joys, because nobody ever brings anything small into a bar. And I feel the same way about communities like this. Even though the faces kind of shift and change a little bit every time I come, everybody brings big things here, big joys, big fears, and everybody brings this big love into this room. I'm blessed to be in a good bit of rooms like this. This one's got a lot of love, and it always does, very consistently. So thank you for welcoming me into your community once again. It is my goal to use the time well and give you something to go home with. That's always my goal. The truth will set you free, we are told. And Eckhart Tolle, the iconic New Thought teacher and best-selling author, he tells us that truth is the shortcut to peace. Truth is the shortcut to peace. But the quotation on the topic that I'm most fond of at the moment is from a more pop culture icon. That's Elizabeth Gilbert, who's written many best-selling books, most famously Big Magic and Eat, Pray, Love. And she starts the latter with a quotation from her friend, Cheryl Louise Muller. It's kind of a tricky one to remember, but I'm going to throw it at you anyway. You can see what you can do with it. Tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth. That's how the whole book starts. Tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth. To tell the truth, that's what I want to talk about today. And I think it fits very squarely in the context of forgiveness, because there cannot be any forgiveness without honesty. There cannot be any true healing without that honesty. And what I want to talk about today is our relationship to truth and the transformative power of truth. Whether we are telling it or not, it is transforming our lives. And I think very often, for some well-intentioned reasons, some fearful reasons, we tell each other and we tell ourselves some watered-down, adjacent to version of the truth. In small things like, where do you want to go to dinner tonight and how do I look in these jeans, to bigger things when we're making bigger decisions about our lives. So what I want to do is explore truth. What does it look like? What does it feel like? How do we get in the way of it? What would happen if we got out of our own way in telling the truth? When I wrote my book, The Myth of Certainty and Other Great News, if you haven't read it, you're not alone. If you haven't read it, it will come as no shock to you that the core of the book was my personal journey around embracing the reality that certainty is in fact a myth. That nothing in my life stays the same. That everything's always changing, that this longed-for lottery ticket someday that I keep betting on and deferring great joys or deferring other things in my life, waiting for this longed-for lottery ticket arrival, it's not coming, it's not happening. If I do arrive there, it's going to change, it's going to shift, because none of those great joys do we arrive at and they stay, and that's that. Same with pain. That's the good news. It's all passing through. Uncertainty is the zero state. The ever-changing nature of our lives, that's the zero state. All right, well, I sort of felt like I was going to be powerful and mighty once I got to this place. So in the absence of that, where does my power live? All the great teachers over millennia have told us your power's in the moment. Power's in the now. Well, I don't know about you, but for me, in my road meets the road world, that getting in the now is a little bit harder than it sounds like. So where does my power live? How do I access that now? How do I get into that place? Well, after I put the book out, I needed some way, as I started trying to live into it, live up to it, to remind myself where my power lives, and that's where my friend the hula hoop came up. And since I didn't actually put this down, this is the hula hoop. So there, for those of you, I'm talking to a fisheye now, that's what's happening. Anyway, so I use the hula hoop to direct my attention to where my power lives. I use the hula hoop to direct my attention to where my life lives. There's nothing in my experience of the world that happens outside of this space, outside of this space. You do not exist outside of this space in my world. None of the joys and pains, nothing else in my life happens outside of this space. So I wanted to redirect my attention to where my life lives. Where is my power? If life is fully uncertain and things are passing through, where does my power live? It lives here, in how I respond to the things passing through it. This is where my actioning happens, my execution of my life. It all happens from here. Are you with me? So then I bring in this other piece, and I'm just kind of trying to set the table here before we dig into truth too much. I bring in this Seinfeldian concept. And Seinfeldian is a word I just made up. Seinfeldian is of the Jerry Seinfeld philosophy. This was a quote that I heard Jerry Seinfeld say that I know I've said here before, and if I'm blessed to come back again, I will say it again, because I think it's mission critical. Seinfeld was talking to Trevor Noah about pain. And he said, I have come to the conclusion that pain is knowledge rushing in to fill a gap. Pain is knowledge rushing in to fill a gap. That for me is transformative because it changes my relationship to that knowledge. Pain is knowledge rushing in to fill a gap. Stub your toe, knowledge. There's a table there. You're not paying attention to where you're going. Okay? It's knowledge. It's providing me information. Okay, well, if I take that, combine it with the reality that everything's uncertain, combine it with the reality that my own power is only lives here, doesn't live out there, doesn't live in some someday, it's here, then my relationship to those joys passing through, my relationship to those pains passing through changes, because they're not staying, but they're offering knowledge. They're rushing in to fill a gap in my knowledge, which brings us to truth. Truth, like I said, the need to tell the truth comes up in small ways and big ways. It's the little conversations about where do you want to go to dinner and all that kind of stuff. And it's the big. I want to share a couple of inflection moments in my life that I'm looking at right now. As I'm doing that, I wish we could just go around and just talk about all the different things we're all going through. But what I'd like you to do is I'm going to use mine in a general sense with just enough vulnerability to make me uncomfortable. I hope that will, for you, go, all right, yeah, you know what? This is a big choice that I'm facing, or a big shift in my life that I'm facing. For me, one of my inflection points right now is around my career. I'm far closer to 50 than I am to 40. My day job is I work in retail. Not what I set out to be doing when I was 20. I'm at the top food chain in the retail world. I work with good people in a beautiful place selling nice things. That's fine. It's not going to get it done. You know, if I stay in my current situation, I will be destitute if I'm blessed to see 70 or 80. It won't work. Then there's this other part of that same career choice where I'm going, all right, well, so I've got to figure this out. I've got to get more practical. I've got to find a way to make money. And then this other part of me that goes, but I'm so called to this. I don't write or sing or speak to hear myself talk. I do it because I feel like it's something that's in me. It's a have-to thing for me. I once had the pleasure of meeting B.B. King. And he said, I'm going to tell you something that somebody told me when I was just starting out. And I was like 24 at the time. And I said, what's that, sir? And I was actually on my knee because he was holding court from his lazy boy after a show. And he had my hand, and then somebody distracted him. And I was like, I'm not letting go of your hand. You were about to give me advice. And he comes back and he literally looks at his hand like, why am I holding somebody's hand? And I said, you were about to give me some advice. And he said, oh, make sure it's what you want to do. Which is clearly not the advice he meant to give. And I said, sir, I feel like it's what I have to do. And he looked at me and looked like one of those moments where the world disappears, you know. And he says, then you can do it. and you can do it. That was 25 years ago. Didn't plan to tell that story. So I've got this push and pull at this inflection moment in my life, and I'm trying to get to what's true for me. How do I progress? I had this inflection moment in my relationship. I've been blessed to be in a long-term relationship for several years now. Best relationship of my life. But we're at that point, or we're just about at that point, where it's time to go, did we just have a great several years together? Or is this going to be, we're going to take a shot forever? And if that's the case, are we going the same direction? So I'm in these points of inflection, which brings me back to, how do I know what's true? How do I get to that truth? Where does that truth live for us? Well, I think that there are ways that we can amp up our awareness of what's true for us. There are ways we experience that truth right now. Silly ways. Like, for instance, somebody might say to you, water cooler kind of talk, hey, have you seen any good movies lately? And you're like, oh no, I haven't been, I don't go to the movies, but Bohemian Rhapsody blew my mind. Or somebody will be like, you been out to a good restaurant lately? No, we don't go out to eat. Oh, have you been to Adele's down in Roswell? Because that place is it's legit New Orleans food. And there's these moments when, in these silly conversations, have you read a good book lately? Oh, I'm a real slow reader. Ooh, Big Magic. Big Magic rocked my world. These moments we kind of light up, right? When we land on that thing that we're like, yeah, oh, this is bringing me joy. This is an exciting thing for me. I think that's truth. I think that's what's true for us, emerging in a silly way, but it gives us a sense of what does that feel like in our body, in my body. How do I know it? When I see it, when I feel it. Then how do I dial into that in more subtle times when I'm trying to ascertain what's true for me in the busyness of life or in a big moment of an inflection point in our lives? How do I get there? The great news is in spaces like this, we're halfway there, because we already have a language for it. Dialing into your truth is about increasing your consciousness, your awareness. And we're living in a good time for this, because this kind of language is gaining more and more cultural acceptance. We even have a presidential candidate at the moment using this language of consciousness and awareness. And so what we are called upon to do is dial in that consciousness and awareness. And how do we do that? We do that by creating quiet in our lives. We dial into that consciousness by creating times for quiet, to allow space for what is true to emerge. Sometimes we do that through meditation. But if meditation is not your bag, that's fine. What we're really talking about is quiet. Bringing in that quiet. Because here's what happens. I'll show you my experience of meditation in spaces like this and in my home. It'll be like this, you're like, now we're all going to close our eyes and open our heart space, and we're going to take a deep breath, and that breath feels really good. Oh my God, that feels good. It's on point. Noise, grocery list. Gotta go up there. Oh, I'm running late to this. Oh, that feels good. Oh, there's a calm there. Noise. Oh, I want to finish binge watching that show that I was watching. That was so good. Wait. And then there's a little sadness. I feel sadness. That's interesting. But it feels kind of solid. It's clean. It's there. It's real. Noise. And then I take another deep breath, and then up emerges. I'm suddenly giggly and giddy and joyful. Oh, there's joy. A deep breath, and I'm back to peace. And there's noise, and there's in between these moments of noise, there's these things that emerge that feel sort of solid, that feels sort of clean, that feels sort of real for me in between the moments of noise. See, the noise is important. We create quiet for the noise to emerge, because the noise is pointing us to the good thing. The dissonance is pointing us to the resonance. The noise is not a flaw in our thinking, it's a frame for our feelings. It's not a flaw in your thinking, it's a frame for your feelings. When I start to feel a dissonance in my head, followed by something else, that something else is resonance. And that resonance is what truth looks like. Whether it's a joyful truth, or a painful truth, that resonance is what truth looks like. Does that make sense? So we create quiet spaces, not so much for the quiet, but for the dissonance. For the dissonance that will emerge and direct our attention, even if we can't articulate it. When we know, I don't want this, even if we can't articulate what we do want, we are pointing the direction of what we do want. Does that make sense? Cool. So let's go back to, I'm going to go back to my inflection point here. We're going to get in two ways that we really get in our own way around truth, but there's a profound opportunity to get out of our own way around truth. Tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth. The first one's called yeah but, and the second one is called conflation station. And they are both solved by the same question, coming at it a little bit differently. So, we'll go back here. I'm going to use my career thing as a moment. So, I'm in this moment and somebody very heartfelt, lovingly says to me, so what do you want to do next? And I'm like, I want, and before I can even finish the word want, this voice in my head goes, yeah, but. And it might be in my head, I'm like, I want to go and do this thing that I love, right? And that yeah, but goes, nope. And I'm out of my circle. And yeah, but's going, what you need to do is you're going to go sell cars, or you're going to sell real estate, you're going to be a banker, you need a 401k, you need money. This world's all about money. Enough with these childish dreams. You got to fix this. Well, that's not fun at all. Or the yeah but comes in and I'll be over there, and that one over here is going, no, you're going to sell all the things you own and go live in a van by the river. And you're going to go. You're not going to die with your music in you. You're just going to be all about your purpose, and that's why you're here. And onward. And enough of that over there. And I'm over here in the middle, not sure what's happening. But when I'm over here, guess where I'm not? I'm not in my own truth. I'm not in my own power. When I'm over here, I'm in somebody else's circle. That's a problem, because that circle can't sustain us both. And there's unused, untapped power and potential being ignored. While I'm over here, you are not in relationship to me. You are in relationship with who I think you need me to be. And that is fundamentally a slow motion sabotage of our relationship. That is fundamentally a slow motion sabotage of my life. If I'm over here trying to fit into your circle, or if I'm over here trying to fit into this circle, I am called back to this circle. And the way I get here is when those yeah buts emerge, because I know it is knowledge rushing in to fill a gap, because I know it's not here to stay, I can greet it. And be like, oh, hello there, yeah but. And I can bring curiosity, and I can ask a simple question. Okay, I hear you. What is also true? You're right. I've got to adult better. I've not been adulting well. I got to work on that. You're right. But what is also true is all that without this isn't going to work for me. All that without living into my purpose, without doing things that bring me joy, isn't going to work. Flip side's true too. Okay, I hear you. Living in a van by the river. Not a good look. But what is also true? I like food. And I like having a place to live. And I like taking vacations, I think. And so what I'm doing is I'm befriending those yeah buts, but just bringing some curiosity and saying, what is also true? Because you're trying to protect me, but you're pulling me out of my circle. So let me get back to my power by just bringing some curiosity and saying, what is also true? Tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth. Yeah, Bud has a best friend. Yeah, Bud's best friend? Conflation station. Okay. Conflation is okay to relate, but do not conflate. Conflation station is this station we pull in on, riding a wild train of if-thens. Here's how it plays out in my world. Maybe early in the year, I'll give a broader example, not my world specifically. But let's say earlier this year you said, you know what I want to do? I want to start meditating more. I want to start exercising more. I want to start reading more spiritual books and just better myself. I've got to be out the door for work by 7:30. I'm going to get up at 5 every day. And I'm going to do all these things. That's what's going to happen, you know? And then it's 7:07. Again, I just hit the snooze 45 times. And now I'm like, it's not just that I woke up late. In my mind, I go from whoops, woke up late. Oh my God, I woke up late. Now I'm going to hit all the traffic. And oh my God, now I'm not have time to make my lunch. And so if I can get away from my desk at all, I'm going to have to go out to lunch and spend $15 or $20 on lunch that I did not budget for. And then I'm going to be tired later this afternoon because I didn't sleep well last night. And I'm going to mess up that project. And my boss is going to be angry. He's going to fire me. I'm going to lose my house. I'm going to lose my relationship. My life is over. This is what happens at Conflation Station. It's not a slippery slope. It's a slippery cliff. You know, maybe you're on your way down the road, you're singing, like listening to Michael Beckwith, and you're singing some positive songs and everything, and then all of a sudden somebody cuts you off and you miss the light and you're like, ah! It's like 0 to completely off the rails in 2.3 seconds, okay? We have to now find our way back to the question of what is also true. And the way that I get there is I use a line from this TV show, Blue Bloods. And you don't need to know Blue Bloods. I love it too. Tom Selleck's the star of that show. And Blue Bloods, it's a cop show. But particularly in the early seasons, the writers subtly wove in this little theme that I just loved. It would come up in this kind of context. We have another burglary that's happened in this part of town, and this is what they stole, and somebody else would, oh, it sounds like it's, and somebody else would cut them off and say, this isn't that. This isn't that. And so when I go off the rails and pull into Conflation Station, the way that I get from out here, occupying somebody else's circle, not really in my own truth, not really in my own power, is I start with a little bit of laughter. Super useful to be able to laugh at yourself when you go crazy. Super useful. If I can go, okay, not my best look. This isn't that. What is also true? You know what is also true is that I really do want to exercise more. I really do want to meditate, and I really do want to be enhancing my spiritual life. These are things I really do want to do, but I get it, I believe it, that the research the research is so clear at this point. This whole American notion of I can get by with 2, 3, 4 hours sleep a night, it's not a thing. It's not a thing. I need sleep. I need sleep for my body, my mind. That's also true. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to honor all these truths. Tonight I'm going home, and I'm going to set my alarm for a reasonable time, and I'm going to get a reasonable night's sleep. You know what I'm going to do too? I'm going to watch one less episode on Netflix. And I think I'm just going to take 5 minutes to meditate. And 5 minutes with a book that I care about. And I saw this 7-minute workout app on my phone. I'm going to do that. Get a little exercise and just start to bring it in. So see, I'm pulling on a Conflation Station by just going, this isn't that. This isn't that. And what is also true? Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. The problem is when we are not telling the truth to ourselves or to our loved ones, we are causing a slow motion sabotage of our lives. The opportunity is by creating space, by creating quiet, and embracing the reality that life is uncertain. Fundamentally, I can change my relationship to the joys and the pains. I can apply my sense of consciousness to honor that dissonance is pointing me to resonance, that dissonance is not a flaw in my thinking, but a frame for what I'm feeling. There's a song by a band called Paramore, wonderful song called Last Hope. And in Last Hope, that was an interesting move. In Last Hope, they have this amazing line. She says, it's not that I don't feel the pain. It's just I'm not afraid of hurting anymore. It's not that I don't feel the pain, it's just I'm not afraid of hurting anymore. And what I'm suggesting is that you begin to be in actual relationship with the people you love. This is not with some version you think that they want you to be of you. I'm suggesting, I'm working on it. I'm gonna get there. I believe it's off now? Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
This is always a funny room to have all these mics on, but it's really about the folks online really more than anything else. It's time to begin to be in relationship to the people around you and to yourself, actually as yourself, actually in your power. And it's closer than you think. It's dialing in that consciousness, that awareness, creating space for the dissonance and the resonance. It's remembering that you are mighty. And yes, there will be times you tell yourself or your loved ones a truth that is uncomfortable, that may even separate you in some way. Think of that like being on a first date and having somebody yell at the waiter. Thank you, that's good information. We're not going to be back again. The truth will set you free, and truth is the shortcut to peace. This is a song I wrote a while ago. I think when I was first trying to find my way back to this circle here. So I guess this is home now. Ain't it funny how things change? How an end turns to begin, turns to an end, just to begin again, and starting over. I've got to set it down, step free of someday, to live the truth that I know now. Pry open the key ring, press it around the bend, slide open the lock. It's time to let myself in. I'm done with sleeping on your couch. I'm done with begging for your dimes. I'm done with betting on the next big song to make my dreams all mine. I've been through hurricanes, broken dreams, pressed a blade against my veins, praying that the dark would come quick. Tried to outdrink it, outdrive it, outsmoke it, and I've noticed whatever the hell I'm running from, well, it's running with me. So now it's so long, someday the world I've been waiting on's been waiting on me. Now it's so long, someday the light that I've been betting on me. Started in the 5th grade. Grab your bat and step to the plate. But buddy, wait for your pitch. Stand and wait for your ball. Or maybe it was 16. She never even knew my name. Love of my life slipped away from me. But don't worry, my time will come. I tried to outwrite it, outsing it, outwalk it, out-talk it. Now I think it just might be something trying to tell me something about me. I tried to outwork it, outwant it, outdream it, outpray it. Now I'm thinking all my prayers have brought me right where I should be. And now it's so long, someday the world that I've been waiting on has been waiting on me. So long, someday the light that I've been betting on's been betting on me. So much time trying to prove something wasted. So much time trying to earn what I need. Just in time, something gave way inside. Just in time for the truth to break free. So long, someday the world I've been waiting on's been waiting on me. So long, someday the light that I've been betting on's been betting on me. Ain't it funny how things change, how an end turns to begin, turns to an end, just to begin, just to begin. Tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth again. Thank you all very much.